gamers, I'm Cybersnack7. Hope we're all well, guys. Back again with another video, and this is going to be a bit of a long one, guys. This is going to be my NTSC Super Nintendo boxed games collection update. It's been a while since I've done one, so I thought I've got another 6 new games coming within the next 2 to 3 weeks, so I thought why not get an update done of my collection as it is and as it stands. And it's going to be 153 at this present moment in time. 3 of them are reproductions, which I'll show you first, just to get them out of the way. But obviously 150 are fully boxed and complete, and sitting nicely on this shelf. It took me a long time to get where I've got. If you don't know about what happened, years ago I started collecting PAL, and then I literally switched straight to NTSC. First game was Star Fox, of course. I bought that because I wanted to play that on the American cartridge version, and then it just went on from there. Everything I ever bought then was NTSC Super Nintendo American copies, and I got to a point about 2-3 years in, and I sold half of my collection. Strangely enough, only half of it, but I kept some of it, and thankfully some of them are the heavy hitters that I'm going to show you today. And as I say, I'm very lucky in that respect that I actually managed to keep some of the heavy hitters, and weirdly get rid of some games that I've now replaced and I've got back in the collection, which were far more easier to obtain over the years, to be honest. But as I say, this has been a slow progression. I've had my issues over the years, because obviously, you know, these games are getting massively overpriced, just going higher, and with the reproductions and the counterfeits floating around, you know, I've had my troubles with big hitters myself. I've nearly lost a lot of money in buying these games and then finding out that they're repros, and thankfully I got that money back, and it went back into the collection with proper original titles. But the less we talk about that, the better. But I'm sure it's happened to most of us in our time. But me being the purist, I want everything to be, of course, original, best quality I can get. I'm not too fussed about a bit of shelfware nowadays. At the end of the day, you got to understand that these games are very old, and not everybody, unfortunately, is going to look after them as well as I do, or some of you guys out there who love your Super Nintendo box games. So what we're going to do, guys, is going to start with the games at the front, and then we'll start from top to bottom, and I'll show you each game. I'm not going to take them out of the plastic protection because it's just time constrained, basically. I ain't got the time to whop them out because you'll be here for an even longer time. So I thought I'd just make this as shortish as possible, but just give you an update of all the games that I've got on the shelf so far, and then I'll be adding some new ones before the year is out. So let's crack on, guys. So cheers to you all. I'm going to need this because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. So let's start with, of course, this one. And this is every NTSC collector's must-have. Of course, this is Earthbound, the big box variant. It took me a very long time to get this game. And I only got it by chance because I was made redundant. Well, you're talking nearly 2.5-3 years now. And I got paid out quite well. So this was an opportunity knocking for me, and one come up absolutely pristine condition. The book's got everything in it, even the scratch and sniff cards as well, which are fully complete. So very happy to have this in the collection at last. One I'll never be getting rid of. Yeah, you can obtain most of these now on the mini Super Nintendo if you wanted to, but if you're like me, you must have the original. So there's the first game, guys, and that is Earthbound, the big box edition. I will be sticking these on the floor, just the big ones anyway. Okay, so the next big box, of course, is Super Bomberman Party Pack. Now this one, I was very lucky. I was on eBay one day, and some guy put it up for £49, buy it now. And I absolutely ripped his arm off. And within weeks of doing so, this went up to £150 to £200. And as I say, recently, Alex, Nintendo Arcade, picked one up. I found him one for a reasonable price, and as I say, I was very lucky to pick this up for 49 quid, or £50 even, you know what I mean? But it's in really great condition. This one hasn't got a cover at the moment. I have found somebody who makes these specific covers for this game, so I'll be getting one within the next few weeks to get this protected, but it's full. I can actually open this one for you. It's got the manual and the multi-tap and the games in there as well. So very happy with that one. But let's pop that shut. But there's the second game, guys, and that is Super Bomberman Party Pack Edition. Right, the next three I'm going to show you before I show the any more official, because I said I was going to show you the reproductions first. I'll show you the reproductions first. So firstly is this one, which is Magical Pop. Now, anybody know what Magical Pop is? This is a Super Famicom exclusive. A pretty basic but fun platformer, but this is astronomically priced on the Super Famicom. And there is a company, they are called Fishy Face, and they do reasonable reproductions of this game. And I think I paid on eBay, I found it for about £30. And as you can see, it's its own style box and print, nice cartridge, and the gameplay is absolutely perfect for me. So well happy to add this to the collection. As I say, it's a very, very expensive game on the Super Famicom, well into £300 to £400 easy, which is bizarre for what it is, but that's just the way it goes. But as I say, very happy to add this one, and it's a nice little platformer. So for £30, I'm not knocking it at the end of the day, and it fits nicely into the collection. I know it's the brightest of of pink covers, but nevertheless, regardless, I've got the game and I can enjoy and play it. So that's the first repo, and that's Magical Pop. Now the second two are technically repos, but they are from a company called I Am 8-Bit, and they have brought, everybody knows what these are, there's two editions. There's actually a third one now, which is a cartridge, and it has Earthbound Gym 1 and 2 on. I haven't got that one because I've got those games original in another collection, but this one, and let's just show these both together, this one and Mega Man, of course, they were the first and second editions, and they're just basically reproductions of the games reskinned. And as you can see, the packaging is really, really nice, very nice and shiny. You got like a label you lift up at the front, so you got yourself like a fold out gatefold effect, which I think is really, really nice. And the cartridge, this cartridge is the red version. They did bring out, of course, a very limited green edition, which I wasn't lucky enough to get, unfortunately. But you know what? I've got this and I'm well happy with it. So that's the I Am 8-Bit reproduction Super Street Fighter 2. And then obviously, again, pop that one there, we've got, of course, the Mega Man X. Now, I do own this already on the NTSC format, but I couldn't resist it because it's such a classic game anyway. Same format, and this also opens up into like a gatefold, which is a pretty nifty, if you can see that. There you go. And it's really nice artwork. I can't remember, I think this is like a white, I'm sure it's like a white cartridge. I'm not too sure now because it's been a while since I've taken this one out, but really, really nice. As I say, there is an Earthworm Gym 1 and 2 special edition coming out. You know me, I say I'm not going to buy it, but you never know. But as I say, packaging wise, and they are very, very nicely packaged, nice additions to have if you're into these sorts of games. All depends if you like the game or not, and that's the way I look at it. If they release a game and I don't like it, then there's no point in buying it. So, but yeah, well happy with this and Street Fighter. So those are the three reproductions. Now we can get back to the realism and the real deal, which are the proper Super Nintendo games. So these two are my pride and joy. As you can see, these are in a couple of Perspex cases. Now this one is my original Demon's Crest from back in the day. This is from my original collection, and as you can tell, I'll take this out just to show you. This is in absolutely mint condition. It's always been the thing with me ever since I started collecting the boxed variants of these games. They've been in absolutely pristine condition, and thankfully this was one that I actually saved from my original collection, like so. So as I say, I'm definitely lucky enough to have kept this and in the magnificent condition that it's in. As I say, this one is one of two that are in Perspex boxes. And to say, this is one of the very early games that I bought for my collection, and it's in superb condition. Fantastic platformer. If you've never played this, absolutely superb game. Spin-off from the Ghosts and Goblins, Ghosts and Ghouls games, and you know, it's a huge game, multiple endings, all depends on how you do it, but very, very nice game to have in a collection, and a must, but only going up in price. So pop that over here. Onto the last game in a Perspex. Now this one is, of course, the mighty Turrican 2. I waited and waited and waited and waited for this game a long time, and I finally got one. You're going back about, what, 2.5, 3 years now, and this was from a UK seller. I was very, very lucky to have seen this, and I paid about £350 for this one, but this one is still part sealed. It's opened at the end, this end, but it's actually still part sealed, so I am really, really very, very lucky to have picked that up. As I say, nowadays you've got to be very, very careful when you're spending big bucks on these games, especially titles like this, because obviously if you've seen Alex Nintendo Arcade's latest video, he did buy this cart only because he was going to build it from a cartridge and a box and instructions, but even the cartridge that he bought was a reproduction, and it was, you know, thankfully he opened it up and checked it out. And as I say, it's a very risky game nowadays getting these. That's why I just take my time. I'm in no rush, and you know, you just got to be extra cautious nowadays, especially with big hitters like this, because this game now is about £500 to £600 plus in this condition, without a doubt. So well happy to have that, of course. So that is my Super Turrican 2. Right, where can I stick him? Right, he'll be down there. Now we can start from the top now, so I'll just drag them off the shelves one by one. So first one is one I picked up at the beginning of this year, to be honest with you, and it's the original Joe and Mac, and this is in relatively good condition actually, fully complete of course, and the box and manual is in really, really nice condition. Great platformer. Really like the original. Never owned it when I very first started collecting, weirdly enough. It's just one of those games I just didn't really want to buy. But thankfully I've added it to the collection now, because I do have all 3 of these now. So that is Joe and Mac. Right, the next one, of course, now this one I got recently. Alex Nintendo Arcade, yet again, I've mentioned him again. Good man. He gave me a copy of this, which is Congo's Kuipers, and it was, of course, just the box and the cartridge. Had no manual or nothing. But I managed, I was watching one of these on eBay, and the guy wanted like £200 for it, fully complete, everything in it. And I just weren't going to budge on that price. That was just way too much for this, because it isn't an easy game to find, I have to admit that. But I found this for £60 English, and it's, as you can see again, it's part sealed. If you can see the seal in there, this one's part sealed again. So to pick this up yet again for that kind of money from a UK seller, fell on my feet again as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, this is in very, very nice condition, part sealed game, really, really nice. Great platformer, just as good as the first one. Now, I don't know how this works, because I think the second one in the series is the third one, and the third one in the series, which is this one, is the second one over here. I don't know how it blooming works in Japan, but they're all over the place. So just put in different orders in Japan. But regardless of that, still happy to have it. So that's Congo's Kuipers. And then, of course, the next one is Joe and Mac 2, Lost in the Tropics, and this is a fantastic condition game, of course. Another great platformer. This one was from my good mate Retro Dave Nintendo, when he was letting a few of his games go, gradually, bit by bit, becoming an arcade aficionado, that's more like it. But yeah, I bought this one off Dave a good couple of years ago now. Fantastic condition, obviously. You know, when you're buying from Retro Dave Nintendo, it's only going to be quality anyway. So very happy to have that. And that, as I say, that is all the Joe and Mac games up to date in the collection. So that's Joe and Mac 2, and that is Lost in the Tropics. Okay, next one. Next one is a run and gun side scroller. This is definitely like Super Probotector or Contra. This is Doom Troopers, and this one has a very unique, like, it's like a digitized graphic style of gameplay, but it's like a run and gun, as I say, Contra style game, but it is a very, very difficult game. It is ridiculously hard. I've got to about the 3rd level, but as I say, this was one I never knew about. I think it was Pete Snes-tastic doing one of his unboxing videos many moons ago. He pulled this out of a box, and I said, then that looks interesting. So I took my time to get this one. As I say, you get it with the comic and everything, so I just bided my time and waited for a complete full copy, and I got this one. And as I say, it's a very good side-scrolling shooter, but very, very difficult. That is a fact. But that's the next game, guys. That's Doom Troopers. Next one, of course, is the classic Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Now, this is an absolute classic. Graphically, gameplay, music, there ain't nothing this game doesn't deliver on. Apart from the fact that it's ridiculously hard, and you got to go through it twice, as per Super Ghosts and Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblin games anyway. But absolutely excellent game in the series without a question, and one of the early releases, believe it or not. But fantastically, this is one I had to pick up again, because I did have this originally. Now I got rid of it, and thankfully I picked it up for a decent price back in the day, many moons ago now, about 6 or 7 years ago, and probably longer than that. And as I say, it's in fantastic condition, fully complete. Really happy to have that one. That's Super Ghouls and Ghosts, guys. Right, pop that back in there, the right way around. Next one is Magic Sword. Now, this is a nice platforming, and it's pretty much arcade perfect, this is. And basically you are the main guy with a sword, but you unlock doors and prison cells, and you gain new characters as you go through each level, like wizards and things like that. And like you just have to progress the tower and get to the top, basically. And you have mid bosses and then final bosses, obviously, at the end once you reach the top of the tower. Never actually got to the top of the tower, to be honest, which is kind of weird, but still pretty arcade perfect conversion of Magic Sword. Really good game. And I say this one, yet again, I got back in the day for a reasonable price and in really, really nice condition. So that's Magic Sword. Next one's a platformer. This one's a pretty common game, pretty easy to pick up even nowadays, and it's obviously Cool Spot. Pretty simplistic franchise, 7-Up franchise in it, and he's the Cool Spot, and it's not a bad little platformer. It's not the greatest I've ever played by any means, but still one I wanted in the collection, of course. And as I say, this one, cheap as chips. Even nowadays you can really pick this up for a fairly decent price and a reasonable price, but worthy adding to the collection because it's a nice little platformer and in fantastic condition. So there's Cool Spot. Next one is the classic Cybernator. Cybernator is a fantastic run and gun side-scrolling action platforming game, mech style game. Love the music. Never done anything like it since, really. Shame it was never a kind of a sequel. You've had kind of other versions of this game on PS1 and things like that, but still a fantastic game to own. Love this. Definitely one of my old original games that I bought back in the day. And yeah, classic Konami game. Can't beat old Konami. Well, not nowadays, but back then they were untouchable. But yeah, there's the classic Cybernator. Fantastic side-scrolling shooting game. And the next one is SpiderMan, the animated adventures, if that's correct. Yes, it is. Actually, it's only called SpiderMan on here, weirdly. I'm sure on the Mega Drive this is called SpiderMan Animated Adventures, and this is a side-scrolling platform game, and you have multiple bosses, the Sinister Six basically, plus Venom. You gotta fight. Not the easiest of games, but no Spider-Man game is easy, to be honest with you. They are ridiculously and relentlessly hard. But one of the choicier titles, one that's hard to find nowadays. You'll be paying a premium for this one nowadays, definitely, especially in a decent condition. But yeah, it's not the greatest platforming game in the world. I love my Spider-Man games, but you know, I'm glad I got this back in the day. And as I say, it's a Spider-Man game, so I'm a sucker for Spider-Man at the best of times. But still, a nice little title. Not so easy to find nowadays in good condition, but still worthy of getting if you haven't got it. So that's Spider-Man. Just Spider-Man, and not the animated series like I thought it was. Okay, next one. Next one is another platformer, and this one is Bob. Now, Bob is a robot, and this is like a platform puzzle game, and you can utilise him. He's got different powers he can have with his guns. I think this is going back a while now since I played this, but obviously he's just got to basically work his way through a load of different puzzles and platform sections. I've not played it much, to be honest with you, but still a nice little game to have in the collection. And as I say, to get it in this condition, which, you know, you probably could, but you just have to bide your time and wait for these nowadays. That's all I ever do, is just wait for the games to come in decent condition. I mean, you have to search for everything nowadays. There's no like just popping up NTSC games, because it comes up and rarely you'll get one person selling a decent game. You have to search for these games to get them. But there you go, that's the next game, and it's an half decent platforming game, and that's Bob. Okay, the next is a classic. Absolutely love this game, Super Punch-Out. Everybody loved the NES version. This is my favourite by far. Absolutely love this game. Believe it or not, I've got all the way to Mr. Perfect, and I cannot beat him. There's another 3 fighters after him, and I've never ever seen him. I've never ever got to him, bizarrely, but frustration in me. I just can't. I can't do it. I get easily frustrated, and it bugs the hell out of me. But absolutely superb game. Definitely one of my favourite quick fix boxing games. Prefer these over like the realistic boxing games. I'm not really overly keen. There are a couple on the Super Nintendo, probably one more I wouldn't mind getting, but apart from that, this is the best quick fix boxing arcade game you could ever play, and absolutely worthy of putting in your collection. So that is, of course, Super Punch-Out. Next one is Judge Dredd. I picked this one up a good few years ago, and I seen it on the PAL edition first. I must have been one of the events, and I seen somebody playing it. I thought, well, it don't look too bad, and I looked for an American copy and got one for 20 quid. That's quite reasonable for this game, and that was back in the day, and this is absolutely mint. But yeah, not a bad platforming game. There is Demolition Man. I haven't got that yet. That wouldn't be too bad to add to the collection, because as I say, it looks very similar to this game. And I think I just might pick that up one of the days if I get the opportunity to find a decent copy. But this great platforming side-scrolling action game, true to the film, of course, and follows the film. Not many, very many film adaptations to games works, but this isn't too bad. So, well happy with that. But for £20, who's moaning at £20? So there is Judge Dredd. Now this is one game that is disappointing, and that is, of course, Robocop 3. Robocop 3 is by far one of the most difficult games I've ever played in my entire life. It is relentlessly difficult. I don't think I've got even to the second level. So it's just one of them. It's stupidly hard. But yet again, one I wanted to add to the collection. And as I say, this is cheapest chips you can get. It's probably 30 quid in a decent condition box. This one's immaculate. So I got this years ago. But one I don't play regularly, funny enough. But still an absolute... It's just a game, and it's just one you have to add to the collection. But blooming stupidly hard. So there is Robocop 3. Next one, another side-scrolling platform action game, pretty similar to SpiderMan, which you've just seen, but this is Wolverine Adamantium Rage. And yet again, exactly the same sort of style. Small little side-scrolling characters, and you got a number of bosses you got to fight. I can't read. Well, it doesn't actually say the names on there anyway of the characters, but yeah, nice little action platformer. Yet again, very difficult game. But this one yet again is a climber. It is going up in price, especially in good condition. So this is another game I picked up years ago anyway, and it's been in the collection for a long time. So, but yeah, another one of those side scrollers. Not a bad game, but not an easy game regardless. But still, glad to have it. So that's Wolverine Adamantium Rage. And I'm sorry about the glare, guys. We've got a light right above me, but it's the only way I can get a decent light. So next one I only got this recently, to be honest with you, and it's the classic Chuck Rock. Now, Chuck Rock is Chuck Rock. It's all right. It's not bad. It's a nice little action platforming game. To me, it's a bit like Cool Spot. You either love it or you hate it, and it's okay. It was playable. I bought this on the Mega Drive years ago, and then I saw this for about £25, and I thought, yeah, I'll have that. It's got the poster. It's got everything in it. Got a bit of shelfware. This one, you know, it's not in amazing condition, but still for where I paid for it, and as I say, it's not the best game I've ever played, so I'm well happy with this condition game, well happy with the game as it is, and it's alright. It's not a bad side-scrolling platformer, but not the best, but still, there you go, that is Chuck Rock. One of the best side-scrolling run-and-gun games you could ever play, which is Contra 3, the Alien Wars. Music, gameplay, graphics, just the whole package. It's just an amazing game. You cannot beat this. It is unbelievably one of the best side-scrolling platform games, action shooters I've ever played, and it just drags you in from the very beginning. Boss-wise, the level design, it's just everything about it. It's absolutely fantastic and an absolute must-own for any of you Super Nintendo guys out there. I'm assuming you're going to have this, I guarantee you that, but if you haven't, get this in the collection, trust me. It's an absolutely epic game, and that is the classic Contra 3, the Alien Wars. Next one is Turrican, or Super Turrican, should I say, and this one is, of course, the first of the Turrican games for the Super Nintendo. I showed you Super Turrican 2 earlier on, and this is obviously Super Turrican 1. This is just as good as the original. Very difficult game. I got to about the 5th level, and I'll just lose it then. It's just absolutely relentlessly hard for me. Never found these games easy anyway, to be honest with you, but still fantastic title, and absolutely gorgeous looking game. Probably more well known on the Amiga ports, I'm assuming that's correct, but still on the Super Nintendo they didn't do a bad job, and I'm well happy with that. So there is Super Turrican. Next is a side-scrolling action beta puzzle adventure, and that is of course Batman and Robin, and this is a nice sit back and relax kind of action game. It's not too in your face. It's not difficult either. You just got to really concentrate, put your mind to it. There's a lot of puzzle elements to it. It's an all-round great game. I really do like this animated variant of this game, and this game isn't cheap either. This is shooting up in price over the last like 4 or 5 years. But another, is it, yeah, Konami, absolutely Konami classic, absolutely superb game. One you've definitely got to put in your collection. Really interesting, fantastic platforming game with a lot of puzzle elements. But yeah, if you like the animated series, definitely go for this. It's a superb game, and that's Batman and Robin, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Okay, so next one is easily the best version of Sunset Riders. It's more to the arcade port, of course, and obviously this has 4 players instead of 2, like the Mega Drive does. What a shame that is. But regardless, it's still a fantastic side-scrolling shooting action game. Love the music, love the gameplay. It's just a classic, yet again, Konami classic. And this one, yet again, probably could put you back about 200 in a good, very good condition, like this one is. Absolutely spotless, absolutely in brilliant condition. Definitely one of my earlier games which I kept in the collection. As I say, I kept some of the good ones, and this was one of them, so very happy with that. So that's the classic Sunset Riders. Now this one's a bit of an oddity, side-scrolling action fighting game, and this one is Wildcats. Right, Wildcats. Yeah, it's, what is it? Is it J? Oh, it's J Mills Wildcats. Now this is a very strange action fighting game. I think it's based on a comic book, of course, but it's one you don't come across very often. And as I say, there's some of these characters in this game I've never ever heard of before, but it's a solid side-scrolling action beat 'em up, walk right and fight kind of game. But it is not an easy game at all. It's very, very difficult. But yeah, as I say, unique characters, definitely comic based, obviously, because I've never read these comics, but it's one you don't come across very often. But well, happy to have that, and that was in absolutely spanking condition when I got that one. So that is, if I'm right, D Miller or C Miller Wildcats. Real good, but really hard. Okay, next one is Jurassic Park Part 2. And this is The Chaos Continues. Now, there is a variant cover of this one, which I've seen years ago, and I really do like that cover rather than this one. I think this is the reprint edition, but still, I bought this brand new for like 20 quid about 10 years ago. But side-scrolling action game where you got to like run to, it's basically running a bit like Contra in a sense, but you got to kick ass, kill the dinosaurs, but it ain't blooming easy. It is a difficult game, trust me. Very, very difficult indeed. But that is a cracking little game. Very difficult, but I don't know what the price is on this one nowadays. I'm not too sure what I can pick it up for, but I always want the alternative as different cover, more detailed picture and all that, and I'll try and find that one day. But still, not a bad game, but a toughie, and that's Jurassic Park 2. That's The Chaos Continues. Right. We have next the classic Robocop versus Terminator. And I have yet to say, and will say, I'm assuming the best version of this is possibly the Mega Drive version. Yeah, I'm going to hold my hand up and say, yes, the Mega Drive version is better. But I've heard the Master System ain't too bad either. But this version ain't bad. It's not the greatest. Graphically, really nice. But it just doesn't play as well as the Mega Drive, because I've got the Mega Drive one somewhere. And this one is a good game. I love the art box. The artwork and the box it comes in is brilliant. You can't beat that. That is class. But the game itself doesn't play as well as the Mega Drive version, unfortunately. But still, not a bad game to have. Very happy with that. And that is Robocop versus Terminator. Right, that's 32 minutes in, and that is only the first 22. I better get a move on that now. To be honest, I can see this being a two-parter. So what I might do, yeah, is do 3 layers, and then I'll do another 3 layers in part 2, because this is going to take time. Okay, next game. Next game is a classic platforming game. Of course, everybody's played the Addams Family. This is definitely one of the early titles that came out for the system. And it's a nice side-scrolling, like your minifigures of the characters from the actual movie. But yet again, this game is a tough cookie. Some cracking puzzle elements to it. And some of the platforms, you got to be inch perfect on. Inch perfect to actually like do this game. But there's a game harder than this, which I'll show you in a bit. But still a fantastic game, great condition. I think I paid about 22 quid for this years ago. I literally got this and I thought, yes, happy days. 22 quid, you wouldn't get that nowadays, £22, I guarantee you that. But still, a fantastic game, and one to add to the collection. That's the Addams Family. Now the next one I'm going to show you, I bought this originally years ago, and this, I've got to say, is possibly the hardest platforming game I've ever played. I've never done one level of this game, and that is the Addams Family, Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt. And this is a ridiculously hard game. I've put myself through pain so many times putting this game on to play it, to try and get through one of the levels, and it just can't be done. I've seen YouTube videos and how people do speed runs of this, and man, they're bloody good. It's as simple as that's all I can say, because this game is ridiculously difficult, and you've got to be inch perfect platform wise. Fantastic little game. It draws me in all the time, but it's such a difficult game. It's untrue, but still a classic little game, and well happy to have that one. And that's the Addams Family, and that's Pugliese Scavenger Hunt. Next one is Aladdin. Now, I'm not going to complain about Aladdin. I love Aladdin, and this is a very good conversion of Aladdin. Yet again, the Mega Drive does have the better version of Aladdin, but this one is my favourite. I don't care. Yes, it does have the better version. I'm not going to deny that, because I used to have it. I haven't got it no more, but I still prefer the Super Nintendo version. Like the music, I love the graphics. Very, very good action platforming game. Really, really nice game. It's fairly easy, of course. You know, it's, well, I say it's easy. It's not that easy. Capcom don't make easy games, to be honest with you. Well, not a lot of easy games, but you know, it does get difficult towards the end. But apart from that, it's still a fantastic little title to have, and well happy with it. One of a few Disneys I've got, but this I bought off a fellow YouTuber a while back, and there it is. It's still here, mate, and in pristine condition. So that's Aladdin. Next one is a Wonder Boy clone, and this is Adventure Island. Very good game. I didn't bother with the second one, because the second one is more like RPG-esque added into it, and I just like the platform aspect of the game. I don't want the RPG thing. I just haven't got the time for that sort of thing. I've got a few RPGs, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to this, I'd rather keep it simple and just have added new levels and more platforms and that. But it just seems there's an RPG element to the next one. So, but yes, this is definitely like a Wonder Boy clone, and these, I'm assuming Adventure Islands were big on the NES, so they released the first one on the Super Nintendo, of course, and it's not a bad game. It's a really, really good side-scrolling platform action game. Really good. If you like Wonder Boy, you'll love Adventure Island. So there you go. That's Adventure Island. Next one is Busts Loose, another side-scrolling platform action game from the Tiny Toons Adventure and the Tiny Toons cartoons. This one I had a long time ago, and I really did enjoy this for what it is. It's not you know, to look at it you think, oh, but it's not that bad a game actually. It's very, very good platforming action game. Bit of puzzle element to it. But yeah, really happy with this game, and another cheaper game you should be able to pick up for a reasonable price nowadays, but still fantastic little title to have. And if you haven't played it, give it a whirl. It's good. It's not too bad at all. So that's Busts Loose. And then we have the next one, which is just a small little title for the Super Nintendo. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Super Mario World. This, of course, is the launch title for the greatest console ever made. Did I mention that? And, of course, this is the Black Label variant. Very, well, at one time, it was not easy to find one of these. You could pick up the Player's Choice anytime, but trying to find a Black Label variant of this was near impossible. But absolutely legendary platform game, of course. Absolutely superb game. You can't go wrong. If you have a Super Nintendo, you'll have to have Super Mario World in that collection. End of story. It's simple as that. But everybody knows Super Mario World. Everybody knows what a classic platforming experience it is. So there you go, guys. That is the classic Super Nintendo Super Mario World. And the next little lot, of course, are a compilation, and they are the Super Mario All-Stars. And of course you've got Super Mario 1, 2, 3 and the Lost Levels on here. And yet again, another staple game to add to your collection. Definitely worth picking this up if you haven't got it. No, but I don't think there are going to be a Nintendo collector out there who hasn't got at least one of these Mario games in the collection anyway. But nothing to say about this apart from the fact they are 4 classic games, and it's just a must-have basically. So that's your Super Mario All-Stars. And then you either love it or you hate it, and I quite liked it. I haven't completed this one yet, but this is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and this is a fantastic game. It's different because obviously this time around you are Yoshi and you've got to protect baby Mario through the worlds, and it's a good style, a different aspect to Super Mario World games. Graphically, it's second. I've just never seen anything like it. It's like the strangest of animations, cartoonish, but it's just a weird style of animation. But the gameplay is absolutely superb. The structure of the game, the levels, it is a very, very good game. And as I say, unique in itself, never to be repeated really. It's never been repeated again. You've done Yoshi's Woolly World and that, but it's never been as good as this, to be honest. But yeah, this is a fantastic game. Yet again, one to have into the collection, guys. So that's Super Mario World 2, and that's Yoshi's Island. Next is another platforming game. This one, it's okay. It's got, you know, it's got a sequel which I yet to have to get. I haven't come across it, and it's Aero the Acrobat. And as I say, this isn't a too bad game. As I say, like, you know, nice mode 7 in this, and a lot of side-scrolling action in this game. It's like that. I think the levels are pretty bland, to be honest with you, playing through this game. That's the only drawback about it. It's pretty empty. But apart from that, it's a quick fix platforming game. It's not too difficult, but as I say, it just doesn't feel there's enough on the levels. So that's why I'm hesitant picking up the second one, but the second one's quite difficult to find. So hopefully, eventually, I'll grab the second one. But this one ain't nothing to write home about, but it's a platforming regardless, so I've got it in the collection anyway. So that's Aero the Acrobat. Next one is a classic, and of course it's Mega Man X. Mega Man X, absolutely loved this game back in the day. This is the original copy I bought, and basically this is the only Mega Man game I actually completed. I actually completed this game, and how I did it I'll never know to this day, because I tried it again years later, and it's just knowing the order of what bosses to kill and getting the right weapon to kill, because as soon as you kill one boss, you've got their weapon, and you've got to obviously use that weapon against another boss, which is its weakness basically. So as soon as I find out the order, I'd probably do this again, but it was a great challenge and a great feeling to actually complete this game. It's the only one I've got on the American variant of the Mega Man collection, because they are silly money. So I've just got the rest of them on the Super Famicom, which I'm very happy with at the end of the day. But still, classic title, Mega Man X, must have in the collection. And from one classic to another, or am I being a bit sarcastic? It's Buzzbee. Yes, I'm being a bit sarcastic. This isn't the greatest game in the world. There is Buzzbee 2. I will be getting that eventually. You got to have the first one, you got to have the second one. But as I say, this isn't the greatest game in the world. It's all right. As I say, it's another cool spot. It's just been added to the collection as a platforming game, and it's in relatively good condition. I didn't pay the earth for it, but very happy to have this one anyway. So that's Buzzbee. Right. Next one is Phantom 2040. And this is not a bad side-scrolling action beat-em-up. Platform added to it as well. If you've watched the film, which is a terrible film, then you'll know who the character is. He's a comic book hero anyway, but not being able to see the pictures too well. But this is definitely a nice side-scrolling action platforming game, and a really good, really surprisingly good title for what it is. But as I say, it can be difficult. But I've played it a few times, not as much as I should have, to be honest with you. But still, an excellent little game to stick in your collection if you love platform action games. Absolutely superb. So that is Phantom 2040. Okay, next game. Next game is Aliens 3. Aliens 3 is a side-scrolling action run-and-gun game. It's very slow-paced. There's no two ways about that. There's a lot of puzzle elements you've got to go through and do loads of different missions, saving people, blocking doors, locking airlocks and things like that. You know, there's a lot to it. The Mega Drive version is a different game altogether. It's more fast-paced. It's all about rescuing the prisoners, and you know, if you want a more fast action-packed game, then that would be the choice of the two. But this one is more. It's more of a laid-back game experience, but still, it can be very frustrating, and it isn't easy towards the end. I guarantee you that. But still, a nice little game to have in the collection, and I didn't pay the earth for this anyway, so well happy to have that one. So that's Aliens 3. Okay, next one is a nice side-scrolling action platformer, and this is Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. And as I say, nice side-scrolling action platforming game, and you've got all your favourite characters in there: SpiderMan, Iron Man, Wolverine, and you have the Hulk. There are a couple of others, but I'm not too sure who they are. I think Black Widow's in there as well on this one. That might be the other one I'm about to show you, but still, nice action platforming game. Not an easy game yet again. As I say, look, it's basically, yeah, it's just you got to collect, go through the levels and collect all the Infinity Stones, and I think you got to just beat the last boss, which I do not know who the last boss is because I've never done it. But still, fantastic condition game, absolutely superb. Love the Marvel Superheroes anyway, so well happy to have that one, and that is Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. And then the next one is following the same theme, and this one is X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. This one is more of the same, side-scrolling action platforming game with a number of characters. You've got Wolverine in this one again, but this is more the X-Men. Wolverine, you've got Beast, you've got Gambit, and you've got Cyclops in this one. So this is more X-Men themed, of course, but still sort of the same sort of style of gameplay, side-scrolling action platforming. Very, very good game. Graphically very good, but very difficult yet again. These games aren't easy, but still a game I had to have in the collection because it's X-Men, or anything to do with Marvel I love anyway. So that's X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. Next is a game that, if you like Spawn, and you've heard of Spawn, it's not a bad game, but it's frustratingly hard. It is very, very difficult. Graphically, I'm really quite impressed with it. It's a really quite impressive looking game. Playing this game is difficult because he's got a lot of different moves and combos you can use, but trying to get them out in a fight is not an easy task. And as I say, the level design itself isn't really helpful to you when you're playing this game anyway. But still, it's not a bad little game. Worthy of getting it. I didn't pay through the earth for this. I think I paid about, what, 40, 45 quid for it, but that was going back a few years now. So, but still, I like the Spawn franchise. I love the film, even though it was terribly cheesy. But still, still a great little game. Love the animated series more, though, to be honest with you. But still, great game. Frustrating, graphically great, but frustratingly difficult, trust me. So that's Spawn, and that is Spawn the video game. Next one is eventually, there we go. Next one is a classic, and it follows on from the Atari 2600, if you can remember, and it's Pitfall, the Mayhem Adventures. And this follows on from the original Pitfall, but this is his son. I think, if I'm right, he's out to rescue his dad. But this is more or less a nice side-scrolling action platformer. Got elements of the original Pitfall in it, with the opening and closing of the swamp holes and things like that. But you a lot of swinging, a lot of whipping, and it's sometimes the platforming aspect can be quite difficult. But you can find, if you look enough, a secret warp, and it's actually to play the original Pitfall in there within the game. It's not a bad game. I wouldn't put it down as being a terrible game, because I played worse. But still, I'm quite happy with it. Immaculate condition this one is. But yeah, it's a decent little game, but it does get blooming tough, I tell you. But what Super Nintendo game don't get tough? But there you go, guys. That is Pitfall, the Mayhem Adventures, or the Mayan. Let's get it right, the Mayan Adventures. Okay. Next one is one of two Mickey Mouse's games, and this one is first the Capcom title. This is The Magical Quest, starring Mickey Mouse. And as I say, this is a classic side-scrolling action platformer from Mickey Mouse. Capcom at their best. Really, really nice graphics, excellent music. You know, it's just one of them nostalgic games. It is an early game, I think, as well, again, but still really, really nice to sit down and play. Not too taxing on you, but still a nice little challenge. If you're into these sorts of games, I'm well happy with that. So that is The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. And the next one is another Mickey Mouse game, which, to be honest, I haven't put any time into. I haven't played this one yet, and that is Mickey Mouse, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mania. There you go. I haven't played this one. I've put the beginning on. I think that's about it. And I haven't really seen past the beginning, which is a shame because I really should give this a go. Absolutely fantastic condition this game is, but if it's anything like if it's anything like Magical Quest, then it'll be a good game to play. But as I say, I've not really put much time into this one, to be totally truthful with you. But looks pretty impressive, and once I give it a go, I'll let you know how this plays. But it's still great to have it. Beautiful condition, of course. So that's Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse. And then we've got another Disney one for you. And this one is called Pinocchio. Yes, and this one is absolutely, well, I bought it brand new. It's another cheapy game that you can get for brand new. But graphically, very, very nice graphically. Really is nice. Music's nice. And gameplay isn't frustrating. The roller coaster section on this is a blooming nightmare. It's a pain in the arse. I'm not overly keen on the section where you got to dance and it's like you've got like a button pressing session to do. But apart from that, you know, I've seen better. It's not the worst platforming game I've ever played, but graphically, really, really is a nice game to look at, personally, I think. But as I say, it's got its faults. But regardless of that, it's still a nice little game to have. So that's Pinocchio. Next one is a game I like. Funny enough, I really do like this game. And it is Hook. Hook's not a bad little side-scrolling action platforming game. I really do like this game. It gets quite difficult towards the end because obviously you've got to, when you're flying, you've got to like sections in the sky where you've got to like collect magic to keep yourself flying through the air, and if you don't obviously get it, then you die basically. But it can get a little tough, but still a cracking little title that is, and I really do enjoy that game, and I have enjoyed that game, playing it a number of times through the years. But really, really nice game, very good condition. I'm not too sure price wise what that is nowadays. It might be a mid-price game, I don't know, 40 quid, something like that. Probably could get it for a bit cheaper if you're lucky, but still a fantastic little game to add into the collection, and that's Hook. Okay, the final game at the top section, and it's the best version of Terminator ever. Maybe not, I'm totally lying there. This is another Robocop 3. This is not a very good conversion of a game. The Mega Drive game was far superior. Regardless of the fact that you only had about 4 levels on the Mega Drive, I'd still sit down and play that any time over this game. It's not great. I've played a hell of a lot better. But to be honest, I got it for cheap, and it's just the experience of having it in the collection and playing it. And to say, I've seen better, but as I say, it's just Terminator. It's all right. The Mega CD is by far the greatest Terminator game you could ever play, as far as I'm concerned. But still, it's here and it's staying in the collection. So that's Terminator. Right, okay. Sweet time. Okay, guys. Here we go. Layer number 3. So I think I'll do one more layer, and that will be it for part 1. I'll have to do part 2 because, as I say, it's quite draining and my throat is actually killing me. So guys, here we go. Row number 3. Row number 3. This is a classic, very difficult game to get hold of, especially in this condition. It's really, really good side-scrolling action platformer. The third in the series, of course, and that is Final Fight 3. And this is an absolute cracking title. Really do love this, and I got this at a steal many moons ago, and it is in really nice condition, fully boxed and complete, of course, magnificent condition. And it's, as I say, it's a fantastic game. Got all the original characters back in it from obviously, and plus a couple more actually. In fact, you've got Haggart and you've got Guy, and you've got another 2 new characters in this one. I apologise, but they do have, like, I think in this one you got like power moves, which obviously drains your energy if you use them, but they are quite powerful. But as I say, great game into the series of Final Fight. This is where, after this one, it lost its way, never to return unfortunately, but still well happy to have the 3rd in the series. I've got the other 3 on the Super Famicom, which I'm quite happy with, to be honest. So to have the 3rd one on the NTSC variant is pretty cool, and I'm quite happy to get that, because as I say, I think this and Final Fight, tough as it is on the Famicom, Super Famicom, it's a very expensive game, and it's just creeping up and up and up now. So well happy to have this variant of the game, and as I say, really good 3rd game into the series of the franchise, and unfortunately the last one. Okay, next one is an all-time favourite of mine. I know some people don't like this game, but it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. What a side-scrolling action platforming game this is. This is what made me get into the Super Nintendo into the first place, of course. This is such a fantastic title. You've got a lot of Turtles initially to enjoy this game. I know Alex doesn't like the Turtles, which is weird, but this game, you've got to sit down and play it at least once in your life. It's such a fantastic title, and it's an experience in itself. Absolutely love this game. Yet again, Konami at its classic. You know, it's just such a fantastic game. Well happy to have this in the collection, and this yet again is another one of those early games that I kept in my collection, thank goodness. So that's Turtles in Time. Now this one was a bit of a hidden gem for me. I really did like this back in the day, and not many people know about this, but it is called Operation Logic Bomb, and this is a top-down shooter, and it's just very atmospheric. Music is good. It's got a nice, decent story. It's a search and destroy game, but this game is surprisingly good. And I was very happy when I picked this up the first time. This is like, I've had 2 copies of this. I bought a copy and then I weren't happy with it, so I bought another copy and then sold the other one on. But as I say, this game, it's a nice little hidden gem. I really do like this game. So if you haven't played this before, grab this game, get it in your collection. It is a really good top-down shooter experience with a bit of a puzzle element to it. So absolutely worth picking up. That one is Operation Logic Bomb. Another of my early games which never left the collection, thankfully, and that is of course Ninja Warriors. This game is absolutely awesome. It's kind of like the arcade. I think this is better than the arcade, to be honest with you. I really do like this one. Another one I completed back in the day. Very hard last boss, ridiculously hard last boss, but such a fantastic experience. Brilliant game this is. Best kind of side-scrolling action fighting game you can play on the Super Nintendo, to be honest with you. Really recommended, but as I say, very pricey unfortunately nowadays. So if you can grab it and enjoy the experience. Trust me, that's Ninja Warriors. This one, another side-scrolling action platforming game, but this is it's got a bit of tactics to it really. You just can't run in and kick ass. You've got to think about your fight, think about the character you're going to fight against, and even with the bosses, they have their own patterns, and it's not just a standard walk right and fight kind of game. This isn't, weirdly. Very tactical, and you've got to really use your head with this one. It's a good game, very good game, but it's got a different aspect to the walk right and fight. You've got to think about what you're going to do with each character you come across and each boss, because they're all different, and it's just no good going in, slashing and whacking and hoping for the best, because it won't work on this, because they will kick your ass. But not a bad game, and not an easy game to come across, especially the NTSC variant. So that is Legend. And the next one are a couple of Capcom classics, and this one is of course Knights of the Round, and this is an absolutely fantastic game, side-scrolling walk, right and fight yet again, but an absolutely awesome title. This is another arcade classic, definitely worth having, and one of these yet one again that is unfortunately a high price game to add to your collection, but still a fantastic title and well happy to have that in a collection. So that's Knights of the Round. And then I think this one is slightly better. I do prefer this one, and that is another Capcom classic, and that's King of Dragons. King of Dragons for me, I do prefer this one over Knights of the Round. Another side-scrolling action game. This one, it's, I don't know, it's just more Dungeons and Dragons-esque, if you get what I mean. I do prefer that style of game. If you played Towers of Doom on the Sega Saturn, it just, I don't know, it's got that feel for me about this game. And but absolutely love that, love this game. Very, very happy to have this, and this is another, unfortunately, high price game if you want to try and pick this up. But if you get the opportunity, as I say, grab a copy because it's such a fantastic title to own in the collection. So that is King of Dragons. Next one, side-scrolling beat 'em up, classic Captain Commando. Weird characters. You got a baby in an army, like a mech suit and things like that. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen this in the arcade. Weirdly, I have not seen this in the arcade, but still, it's you know, it's a talked about fighting game. I can't see the appeal personally. If you want the honest truth, I can't see the appeal, but I got through it, and I think I did it in one sitting. It's not a terribly difficult game to do, but still an experience, one to have, and a very expensive game, unfortunately. This is Captain Commando, but well, happy to have it, and that's Captain Commando. Now this one I enjoyed more. I definitely want the sequel to this if I can get it, but I'm finding it difficult to get for a good price. But the original Sonic Blastman, I like this game. I really do like this game. It's nothing like the arcade, because the arcade was just literally punch and just destroy what you can. But this is obviously a walk, right and fight classic side-scrolling action platform. Well, not platform, beat 'em up. And I absolutely love this game. I really, really enjoyed this game. Always pop this in the old Super Nintendo and crack onto this every now and again. As I say, I'm looking for the sequel, but the sequel is quite a hard game to find complete, and it's just getting up there price-wise, unfortunately. But still, cracking title. Absolutely happy to have that in a collection, and love Sonic Blastman. And the next one is another side-scrolling walk, right and fight affair. It's not great, but it's not that bad, and people really slate this game, and I like Alien vs Predator. This one is in absolutely immaculate condition. It's not the greatest game I've ever played, I'm not going to deny that, but I've played worse side-scrolling beat-em-ups in my past. I really, really do like this. It's not bad. It's a good experience. There are much better conversions of an Alien vs Predator game out there, but for a fighting game, side-scrolling action fighting game, I'm not moaning about it. I quite like it, and I'm glad to have it in the collection. And I do play this every now and again. Not as often as I should do, but I still play it regardless. But anyway, there you go. That is Alien vs Predator. Right, another side-scrolling action game. Another one that's not an easy game to find, and that is The Death and Return of Superman. This isn't a great game by any means. Graphically, it's okay. Story-wise, it's okay. It's just, you know, the enemies in there. That just it doesn't feel like there's a lot of imagination been put into this game. But you know, it's playable. To be honest, I'd actually say I'd probably prefer Alien vs Predator than this, and that's saying something. But it's not an easy game to come across, unfortunately. It's very up there, especially with the Mega Drive conversion of this as well. It's not an easy game to find, and they have issues with the Mega Drive version of this. Well, thankfully we don't. This is a decent conversion, doesn't freeze or nothing. Because I heard Scott, Sega Zombie, saying there was a few issues with the Mega Drive version, which I didn't know about. But no such luck. We have a perfect conversion of Death and Return Superman. The good old Super Nintendo, Scott, mate. That's all I'm saying. get it on a version where you know you're not going to get any problems with it. Anyway, this is an average game, to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned. It's good, but not the best. But that is The Death and Return of Superman. Okay, another one, the Combo Tribes. The Combo Tribes is a very weird style of game. This is like a side. It's more like how can I put it? Target Renegade sort of style of game. But basically, you've got 3 screens. You've got to go back and forth through to kill everybody on them 3 screens. Then kill a boss. Then you move on. It's kind of a strange way of playing the game, but I've never come across another game like it. But it's very difficult. Play this in 2 players. You're just dead in seconds because obviously you share the credit between the both of you. You don't have your same amount of credits each. You share the credits, which makes it even harder. So it's not a good idea to even play this on 2 players because it just gets even harder. They ramp up the hardness, and as I say, sharing the credits, so it's a bit ridiculous really. But it's not the greatest game. It's all right. It's not one I see about very often, I can tell you that much, but still fantastic little game, great to have in the collection, and that is the Combo Tribes. Okay, one more swig, halfway through it, guys. Now onto the greatest game ever made. The sole purpose I own a Super Nintendo, and easily my favourite game of all time, and that is Castlevania 4. Absolutely, without question, the greatest game ever made. Absolutely love this game. Gameplay, music, atmosphere, everything about it, they've hit the nail on the head with this game. It's just something about this game. I remember buying this, and I bought Aliens 3 on the Mega Drive the same day. And my mate played Aliens 3, and I'll put this on, and I just put Aliens 3, I just left it. I couldn't be arsed with it. This just ruled for a long time. I completed it, and I'd done it again straight after, and again straight after. It was one of them games I was just so enthralled with, and I don't get many games where I can put it on and know I'm going to enjoy this game and play over and over again. There's not many games where I've had that experience, and this is one of them. And apart from Symphony of the Night, I don't think anything's come close to this Castlevania wise, regardless of the NES, NES conversions. I don't know, but this for me is the greatest Castlevania game I've ever played and ever will play. I'm assuming, to be honest with you, because nothing can ever touch this game. But absolutely love this game, of course. I've talked about it enough in the past. But yeah, well happy with this game. Love this game. All-time favourite, Castlevania 4. And the next one. This is a kind of a weird game. Nosferatu. This is Prince of Persia slash... well, it's just like... It is basically Prince of Persia, but you have this weird fighting mechanism where you punch and kick rather than have weapons or anything like that. And it's a very peculiar game. It's a very good platform puzzle game with bosses in it, believe it or not. But you've got a time limit also, so you've got to get through the game within a certain time limit, get to the boss, kill Dracula, rescue your girlfriend, and that's no easy feat, believe me. It's not an easy feat at all. The control mechanisms take a bit of getting used of, but it's a very unique game, considering it's like it is a platform and it is a Prince of Persia clone. There's no two ways about that, but with a different twist, and it's a good twist on it as well. But not an easy game. But boy, this is shooting up in price nowadays. This can go for some serious money nowadays. But still a fantastic game to have, and really will one of these days sit down and do it if I get the opportunity. But fantastic game, and that's Nosferatu. Then we've got another absolute all-time classic, of course, and it's of course Super Metroid. This game needs no introduction. It don't need to be talked about that much. It's just one of the all-time classic platforming run and gun shooters. Story is amazing to it. as I say, this is the only one I've really played. I've never really played any other variants of or any other version of Metroid. This is the only one I've ever played, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. And no doubt the rest in the series will be just as good, but I'm happy with this one. It's a massive game, loads to do in it, and as I say, this game has never been repeated in such as it's the story, the gameplay. I don't think it's been touched. They've tried new ways of portraying this game, but I don't think you can beat the side-scrolling aspect to it. Having it like that, they had it on the GameCube, where it was like front, you know, with the like first-person shooter aspect to it. It worked, but I prefer it the old school platform, side-scrolling action platform way. Much better, but an absolute classic game and a must for a Super Nintendo collection. There's no two ways about that, but that's Super Metroid. Okay, another one. Now this bugger, this goes for some serious money on the American variant. On the PAL version, you can get it fairly cheap, but trying to find this in good condition and then for a decent price is very difficult, and that is weirdly Mr. Nuts. Mr. Nuts is a nice, cutesy, really nice graphics, decent music, side-scrolling platforming game, but boy, it can get a little bit tasty towards the end, I tell you straight now. But the game itself is so difficult to find in good condition and at a good price. It's if it weren't for Pete Snes-tastic, I don't think I'd have got this today, because he was fortunate enough to get this, and I had this off him when he was selling his collection. Never to be never to be gone out of this collection, I guarantee you that. But this, I've looked for it, and I've never come across a decent copy of it and a decent price for it. It's silly money, it is really. But as I say, you know, it's a fairly decent, fun platforming game. Very happy to have it, and it's going nowhere. This one is, I tell you. But yeah, be careful of this one because it's a right bugger to try and find. So that's Mr. Nuts. Next one. Blackthorn, classic side-scrolling action platformer. This has got like the style of Prince of Persia, and if you've ever played Flashback, it's kind of that game-esque, same sort of style of gameplay, but really dark, atmospheric game. This is called Black Hawk on the PAL variant. It's Black Hawk on the PAL variant and Blackthorn on the NTSC variants, and I like this game. It's blooming difficult. Yeah, as I say, another kind of Prince of Persia, but it's got that flashback feel to it, and I really quite enjoy this because, like, when you can duck back and hide in the background and come out and you draw your shotgun out, it's really quite good. Never come across anything again. They've never done a sequel to this, which is a shame, but still a fantastic game, and definitely pop this in your collection if you like that kind of platformish puzzle, flashbacky kind of gameplay, and that's Blackthorn. Okay, next to classics. I love this game. My cousin bought this. I watched him play, and then the next day I didn't go to work. I waited outside the game shop in Birmingham back in the day, and I can't think of the name of the game shop now. What's it called now? Mr. Disc, that was what it was called. And I knew they had a copy of this in there, and I bought it and went home, and there's 22 levels on this, and I think I've done about 13 in one day because I was hooked on the thing, and that is the original Prince of Persia. This game is beautiful. The graphics, the music just is timeless, especially the very beginning music when you very first start off. It's such an atmospheric music. It's really fantastic music. Love the game. Absolutely adored this game. So it didn't take me a couple of days. I've done 13 levels in the first day. I was absolutely hooked. Well worth having a day off work for, I can guarantee you that. But absolutely love this game, and I've done it a few times in the past since. But very good game. Absolutely a must to add into your Super Nintendo collection. So that's Prince of Persia. But unfortunately, it's a shame I can't say that about its sequel, which is Prince of Persia 2. This game is sorrowful, unfortunately. Graphics aren't as good. The gameplay is nowhere near as good. No atmosphere. The game mechanics is total tripe. it just doesn't play well at all. It's such a shame. I've played this game a dozen times, and for the life of me, I just can't bring myself to sit there and play because it's so frustrating. It's stupidly difficult, stupidly frustrating, and it's a shame because I could have done so much more with this game. And as I say, this, you don't come across this really, and if you do, it's not going to be overly expensive, but be warned, it's not the experience you're going to get with the first one. Nowhere near, but it's a shame. But I'm glad I've got it because it's the sequel, and it's in really, really, really good condition. This is actually, but unfortunately, a poor sequel to a fantastic first in the series. But the second one is shamefully bad, unfortunately. That's Prince of Persia 2. Okay, next one is a very unique game from Interplay, and it's of course out of this world, which is another world technically. This is obviously the US title for it. A very unique game for its time. Graphically brilliant. It looked like a movie. Basically, you're within a movie, and you get sucked into another world, and you just got to basically make your way out. You make friends with people, and you just got to pick up this laser gun that can shoot shields and things like that. It's very unique for the time. Absolutely fantastic. Very atmospheric. Very difficult towards the end. My God, I've done it once, and it was so tense. Trying to, you're getting in the ship at the very end. You're like in this arena, and you jump into this tank, and you've got to press these buttons in a certain time sequence, and oh my God, the pressure on you to try and do it is ridiculous. But I've done it once, and it's a good experience to sit there and try and do it. It's come out in multiple formats now, and they've revamped its 20 years anniversary version and things like that, but loved it. And for the day, it's a very unique title, and very happy to have this. So that's Out of This World. And then, of course, it's kind of successor, and it's a sequel, which I liked. Not many people do. Flashback. I love this cover. Best cover variant I've seen, without a doubt. But love this side-scrolling action platforming puzzle game. Very, very unique yet again for the time, and I really, really do like this game. A lot to it. Like you enter a game show, and you got to rescue prisoners. You got to do jobs, things like that, earn money, and it's then you get to the alien ship at the end, and you got to kick ass, and then you've got to escape. You got to do certain things in a certain time, and you do get a better ending apparently, if you do it in the right order or the right amount of, you do the right things at the right time, you do get a better ending. But still, I love this game. It's a fantastic variant. It's a bit slow. Obviously, weirdly, I thought this would have run a lot better, but I think the Mega Drive one's slightly better than this one. But regardless of that, it's still a fantastic title. Always loved this game and always will. So that is Flashback. Right, guys, this is the last one I'm going to show you. And this is another side-scrolling action platformer. And there was so much potential for this, I would have thought, but it turned out to be absolutely ridiculously hard. Not the easiest game at all. And that is, what is it? Let's have a look. Jim Powers. Let's have a look. Let me read that. I can't read that. Yeah, Jim Powers, The Lost Dimensions. And this is apparently a 3D game as well. You do get a number of 3D glasses in here. Potential-wise, it looks amazing. But the control mechanisms are absolutely stupid. You can't shoot up, you can't shoot down, you can only shoot straight forward. So it makes things absolutely ridiculously hard. And it just throws the game into turmoil. And it's a shame, because there's potential for this game, because it looks incredible, and it could have played a hell of a lot better. And it's a shame, because it's such a good looking game, and as I say, potential was there, but unfortunately it let itself down with the game mechanics, and the difficulty of this game is just stupid. Right, there you go, guys. That is Jim Powers, The Lost Dimensions in 3D, and that is your lot for this video, guys. So that is That's 66 games I've showed you. That's enough. And that's took an hour and 20 nearly for 66 games. So you will have another 66. You'll have another 80 games in the next one. That's going to be even longer. So I'm not going to keep you guys. This has been an hour and 20 minutes. That's the first 66 of this Super Nintendo update. I could carry on, but you'd be into 2 hours, and I think that would just be ridiculous. So there's your first 66, guys. I will do part 2 probably next week. If not, it'll be very soon, believe me, because obviously I want to try and get this collection sorted and up to date with you guys before new editions come into the collection. So guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my Super Nintendo collection update video part 2 very soon. So as always, guys, I am CyberSnake7. Keep playing and keep watching. All the best.